Beloved Prime Creator who gave us life, also gave us a job to do, if we choose it, and we do. Imagine a pristine glass of water, glistening with light and life energy, offering its essence to fortify, providing essential minerals to nourish any dryness, and to lubricate our cells of all living things with its intelligence. Now imagine the pure, beautiful essence of any body of water sullied with contaminants of man's making, from the waste of manufacturing, spoiled with chemicals and pharmaceuticals consumed and recycled with our waste, plastics, chemical and biological components mixed with air and rain from above, saturating the beautiful soil and its beneficial microbes now struggling. This is the scene of putrefaction and death to the God-given gift of life, from its grossest to its most minuscule microscopic. Using the water as a metaphor, we are here to symbolically cleanse the putrefaction of our governance to purification. As best we can, we are here to purge evil and deception, and to claim our rightful place as Jura Summa Imperii, thus consciously reclaiming our inherent, unalienable, God-given selves. Let it be so, and so it is.
Hello, I'm with the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, and I associate with some remarkable people. Our court visited Tigard Municipal Court. It's not a court. They do not act like a court, nor do they respond like a court. They're a bogus court. And our court went to visit their court on their turf. So when we get there, there's 3 tribunals and a clerk. We had a marshal with us. Our director, Charlie White, was in charge, and her agenda was to speak to the clerk of their court, find out if the documents that we had sent them and they acquiesced to and defaulted to were actually in the file. They were. And then 3, maybe 4 of their clerks, all wearing masks like we were still in COVID. They refused to eliminate their ignorance. They have an inability to comprehend what they're actually doing, it appears. They were rude and unresponsive. And if it was just me, I seem to bring that forth in some people. But it was Charlie and Cynthia trying to deal with these people that are so far out of the norm that they think that they have authority when they're in a bogus court. Your court is bogus unless you can provide supporting evidence that it is a court. And we know what evidence is. And I'm sure Tigard would fail it, so they run and hide. And they pull the blinds down. It must be good business at the Tigard Municipal Court. They have 6 windows. And I heard they had 7 clerks. And they have 1 black-robed individual they call a judge, and none of them have their bona fides, and they do not know how to operate like reasonable people. There is a margin for that reason. So the Tigard Municipal Court failed. I understand from paperwork that it is a subdivision of the circuit court operating out of Hillsborough, which is a subdivision of the state of Oregon and not a county court. It's Article 7 amended, a bogus court system. Has been for 115 years. They acquiesced and defaulted to that November 2022. There is no rebuttal. So that court standing in their lobby, being rudely treated, I spoke in a very loud manner through the little hole in the window, and it brought the attention of a detective for Tigard and their police department kiosk in their Tigard Municipal Strip Mall. This detective wants to know what's going on. I'd already been into their police kiosk to speak to the person in charge of this facility who had the authority to exclude from this facility. And these city police, 3 uniform and a plainclothes detective, all claimed they had the authority. They don't. I've read the law. The person in charge of the facility has the authority to call that, because we had done nothing wrong. We had caused no damage and we had hurt nobody. We were on public land owned by the public, says so in the charter. It's the same as the sidewalk. It's ours, but they don't think so. They think they have the authority to exclude, and they do not. They have to have reason, and they say they don't need reason. They have the authority. Wrong. So, in discussing this with them, this guy puts his hands on me and starts pushing me towards the door. That didn't go good. We were this close, maybe that close, from triggering these guys. You ever see these folks when they get triggered? They stop somebody beside the side of the road, and the guy in the car knows what the hell he's talking about and understands. And the cop just breaks the window out and drags him out of the car and clubs him, handcuffs him, and takes him off to jail. It doesn't make any difference to those types of cops. And you don't know who they are. They can trigger, do weird stuff, completely outside of due process. And what happens? Almost nothing ever. It takes so much for a member of the thin blue line to get out of line so far that the rest of the blue line will punish him. Almost never happens. It's just like the Oregon sheriffs. I read up on it. It's maybe still the same. I did my research several years ago. The way the sheriff's office on Oregon works is the sheriff says, I'm going to retire. And I think you ought to appoint George, or in the case of 4 counties, Mary, to be the sheriff. And somebody, probably a judge, that's not a judge, they're just a actor acting like a judge in a wrong jurisdiction for men and women. But that's besides the point. These people can do whatever they wish to do in their de facto color of law organization. And the only thing that binds them is if they stay within the bounds of the thin blue line and they don't get too far out of whack, they'll take care of themselves. If somebody gets too far out of trouble, he leaves. But he can go someplace else and they'll hire him. We're sorry about what happened, Fred, but you can work here, stay out of trouble, you know the job. And Fred can stay out of trouble and know the job and work at his profession of fleecing us. That's his job. To enforce those laws that fine us for doing what we want to do. That's not breaking the law. We're men and women with our progeny on the land and soil, without ruler and without subject. Leave me the hell alone until I do something that causes somebody damage or harm. It's not your authority. It's our authority. You are here for our peace, safety, and happiness. Not us as individuals, but all of us. And when 4 of us show up as a court doing everything that we can possibly do to remove the ignorance, and we find a court that's ignorant, clerks that are ignorant, and police that are ignorant, and they glory in their ignorance. Not cool. So there's something called due process. And if you violate due process, then you've defrauded somebody of their rights. And in doing so, you open yourself up to 18 U.S.C. 3571, which is a rule they made among themselves saying you can't do that. And if you do that, you can be penalized, and the fine is up to $250,000 for each time you do that. Now, how many times do you get to do that and an award be made before they say, we don't need that kind of guy working here anymore? Those ignorant people they're not cutting it. You see, that same detective, he looked at my presentation card, which is photo ID from a government agency. He looks at it and shakes his head and thinks. Thinking is not what is required in this instance. What is required is we are dealing in law and facts, not what you think. and the law and facts were evident, and he chose to think contrary to the evidence, and he's a detective. I notified his boss. I notified the judge of that court. I notified him, and I notified one other officer. You don't get to do that. Common law has returned to Oregon, not the state of Oregon that's running in a de facto government operated by the oligarchy out of Salem. That's not the same. It's been horseradish for 115 years. But we are no longer deceived. As we are not deceived, then we're talking about fraud in your instance. It's one thing when you're upholding, through ignorance, a de facto office of sheriff. That's one thing. When it's determined that you are not abiding by the rules and regulations and what the credentials require to be the sheriff in the office of sheriff, then you have to leave or you have to correct the situation. And that's exactly where we are with 36 sheriffs on Oregon right now today. We have taken all the steps. Just figuring them out seems to be more than most people can do. But we did. Amendment 1, assemble. Amendment 1, petition for redress of grievance. And we have a dictionary that tells us what petition and redress and grievance actually mean when they wrote it down, not what you think it means. So then we have Oregon's Constitution, and we say, well, look at that, Article 1, Section 1, all powers inherent in the people, provided be that you do these things. So we did those things. And it took a series of actions by people forming grand juries and forming juries within Article 3, one Supreme Court claiming original jurisdiction, Article 7, Amendment 7, in suits in common law. We fulfilled all that stuff. Took years. And some detective standing in a hallway in Tigard looks at it and says to me, I think. He doesn't think. He doesn't have enough brains to think. He's so far into his ignorance that he cannot comprehend what's going on. Now, we know that our sheriffs know what's going on. Of the 9 that we have served and done our very best with, 2 stood and delivered, 2 stood and received. Then 1 disappeared. And 1 continued to stand. And he stood and received, and he met our court, and he met our court again, and he showed up when we provided testimony in the Yamhill County Commissioners, and he met with us, and he agreed to do things, and he did them. He acted in an honorable way. He's a slow reader. But that's not bad. Hell, I'll read it to him. Then all he has to do is be a good listener. And if he doesn't like my voice, Charlie will do it. In fact, we'll read it to all of you. As a matter of fact, Cynthia and Charlie together posed a question to all of the sheriffs and to the Oregon State Sheriff's Association that when they meet in November, Charlie and Cynthia will go to Bend and they will present what we have to present, the information available, the evidence to them in their annual meeting. That seems reasonable. In fact, it's unreasonable not to accept that. But apparently it's been unacceptable to the association. And I know a bunch of them get the information and read it. So what is the solution to willful ignorance? We have one man standing and one man receiving and one man delivering out of 32 men and 4 women, sheriffs on the land and soil of Oregon. There's a thing called honor. You got to have it. You got to know what it is. And it's respect. I was accused the other day by a trial court administrator of being disrespectful because I referred to a judge, a presiding judge for his county, by her first name. I didn't give her name. It was given to her. It was written down and I read it. So I used it. And that was disrespectful. I was supposed to apply judge to her last name. That's the same kind of thought that when I didn't stand to rise, pardon me, when I didn't stand, when I didn't rise, when a black-robed individual walked into the, was it Salem? Yeah, it was Salem. Walked into the Salem court, I didn't rise, and I was escorted out of the room, excluded. That's not reasonable. You earn respect. You don't demand something you haven't earned, and if you haven't provided your bona fides, your credentials, if you haven't submitted into the record of the court, then you haven't complied with the job. But nobody asks you to comply. You're all members of the same club, the Oregon State Bar. So every attorney that walks into every courtroom on Oregon, the minute he crosses the bar, he gives jurisdiction to the judge. It's in their oath to the bar, not to us or not to God or, yeah, that bunch. And we're supposed to address them with an honorific and stand in their presence and salute them with the words, Your Honor. And they have none. They've been defrauding us for 115 years with Article 7 amended. And the sheriffs are still going for it. It's got to stop. I yield.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. David. I'm here to present a document to the sheriff. Where are our sheriffs? Our Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record has made numerous visits and relentless communications to our county sheriffs on Oregon. Why? Because our sheriffs are our first protection against governance overreach. It is our county sheriffs that should be there to assist seniors, to prevent their eviction from their home and all they possess. It should be our county sheriffs who protect and defend the people from a corrupt system, rather than ticketing them or supporting the illegitimate amended Article 7 courts. Our sheriffs seem to be avoiding any engagement with us, the people, reaching out for a conversation about their refusal to see us. Contact requests are met with cricket sounds. Where are our sheriffs? It is significant that they take a proper oath to the Constitution, circa 1859, with its original jurisdiction. That is, to the people, rather than to a corporation, to our Creator, that is, with God included. Such a dejuration, an oath, is needed for there to be a remedy in our system of governance. Let's get this ball rolling. It just takes one of you to make a difference, to get it started, to assist in awakening your colleagues in sheriffdom. Let it be so. Thank you.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.